When you hear people talk about the Roman Empire and how it dominated Europe for 500 years, you hear about their strong military or their cunning leaders like Julius Caesar and Hadrian. But you don't hear about the land which enabled it to remain a superpower for centuries and rule over 5 million square kilometers and 60 million people. 700 years before the empire, Rome was just a small city beside the Tiber River. You've probably heard the story a million times. Two brothers, Romulus and Remus, found the city in the 8th century BC. It was ruled by kings until the Roman Republic was born 200 years later. Rome was surrounded by hostile enemies in the Italian peninsula, the Celts, the Latin tribes, and the Greeks. In 309 BC, the city was destroyed by the Celts. By 270 BC, the Romans had conquered all of them and had gained full control of the Italian peninsula. This was an important achievement as the peninsula became a launching pad for further conquests. Several years later, they faced their first real challenge when they had to fight the Carthaginians. Carthage was a neighboring state with a strong navy and a robust economy. It fought the Roman Republic in the First Punic War. Rome triumphed and annexed Sicily and Sardinia from Carthage. They fought another war and it won again, incorporating Spain into its territory. Next, Rome turned east towards the Greek city-states and conquered all of them. The Roman Republic fought a third war with Carthage. This time it took over most of its territories in North Africa. Throughout the next few centuries, Rome conquered Gaul, modern-day France, Belgium, and Switzerland. It also took over England, Wales, the Balkans, Egypt, Syria, and Armenia. All these conquests created one of the most overpowered geographies any state has ever had. Let's start with the Italian peninsula, Rome's mainland. The Italian peninsula was Rome's core and where its capital was located. It was a natural fortress covered on three sides by the sea and shielded in the north by the Alps, one of the biggest mountain ranges in the world. It would have been a logistical nightmare for invaders to attack. Even if the enemy troops somehow landed, they had to cross the Apennine Mountains stretching in the middle of the country. The other advantage the peninsula had were its rivers. The Tiber River provided Rome with a fresh water supply and a way to ship goods from across the country to the sea and eventually to the other parts of the empire. To the north, the Po River created one of the most fertile valleys in Europe, giving the Romans land to grow wheat for bread, grapes for wine, and olives for oil. This flat, fertile land supported a huge population which was crucial for maintaining a large army. However, outside the peninsula, the Roman Empire had many other geographical advantages. To the south was the vast Sahara Desert, to the west the Atlantic Ocean, to the north there was the English Channel, not to mention the Rhine and the Danube River, which protected the empire from Germanic tribes. To the east there were the Carpathian Mountains, the Black Sea, and the Syrian Desert. But these lands didn't just provide a good shield against enemies, they were filled with natural resources. For example, Egypt provided the empire with huge amounts of grain. The grains could be easily transported on the Nile River and into the Mediterranean Sea. Egypt was the empire's breadbasket, providing food for tens of millions of people. It was also the wealthiest Roman province outside of Italy. The population of Roman Egypt is unknown. Estimates suggest 4 to 8 million. Its capital, Alexandria, was the largest port and the second largest city of the Roman Empire. Egypt also gave access to the Red Sea, through which Rome could trade with India and other eastern states. This was helpful because Rome wouldn't have to rely on a land route through Persia, its enemy. Other provinces were just as good as Egypt, if not better. Greece provided marbles, which they used to make those 6 statues. Wine and olives were also abundant in Greece. But the most important benefit Rome got from this province was probably its rich culture. Centuries before the Roman Empire, ancient Greece had produced philosophers, scientists, and artists that are still famous to this day. The Romans used Greek knowledge and expertise to run their empire more smoothly. It also helped them advance their own literature, architecture, and science. Gaul, or modern-day France, supplied Rome with huge farmlands, just like Egypt. It was another breadbasket. France also produced livestock, wool, pottery, soldiers for the army, and skilled fighters for gladiator matches. To the east, Anatolia was rich in gold and silver. In fact, this province produced most coins in the empire, allowing them to fund a bigger army and to trade more. Anatolia also produced lots of paper, and its ports brought a lot of goods from different parts of Asia. I could go on and on forever about the other provinces as well, but to be concise, the Roman Empire's geography was so overpowered that many of its territories later became global superpowers themselves, like the British Empire, the Spanish and Portuguese Empire, the French Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. But like many other empires throughout history, Rome fell because of its own success. When there is no enemy who can challenge you from outside, you start rotting from within. In the end, Rome fell because of a weakened economy, civil wars, diseases, and invasions that the government was too weak to manage. In 395 AD, the empire was split in two. Slowly, the western half of the empire fell in the hands of the barbarian tribes, while the eastern half remained for another 1,000 years until the Muslims conquered it.